Hello, and thank you for taking your time to learn more and to empower yourself to be healthy and well. My name is Ina, and I wanted to share the slides with you and to share this information that I think you will find useful. Hope you get to see the slides. And I noticed over the years of practice in functional medicine that most questions that initially come in from clients were on how to select foods and supplements that work for chronic digestive problems. So I decided this would be the best way to make a presentation and to share the information and make you more educated in this field and empower you. So let's begin. Fixing your gut. How could it be done? By decreasing inflammation, improving gut microbiome, and detoxing the digestive tract, and also improving the nutritional intake. Can't go further without healthy foods and healthy nutrition. What you put in is what you put out as in form of energy and wellness. And can chronic digestive problems go away? That's one of those things that people that were diagnosed with like Crohn's, colitis, or other chronic digestive problems like IBS, they don't even believe that it's something that can be healed, that can go away. And from my personal example, the answer is yes. Professionally, I've seen a lot of clients of mine that did 100%. And a lot of it is about a lot of reasons: mindset, nutritional intake, how much are you willing to do this, and how much you want it. So all this is very important. What can I help you with now? As a practitioner in functional medicine, doing a lot of work for Crohn's and colitis and other digestive patients, I figured out a lot of ways, and for myself, what kind of help a lot of people need. And it's not just usually one thing. And I also wanted to say congratulations for taking the time, for spending the time listening to what I have to say and taking the action. Taking an action is huge. Awareness is important, but with that action, you can go to your next step. So is this you? Constipation, alternating with diarrhea, or just diarrhea, indigestion, reflux, belching, gases, irritable bowel, Crohn's, colitis, abdominal pain, and more. And most important is the fatigue, because symptoms are terrible, but in the end of the day, if they drain you and you can't even function, that fatigue is huge. So you've been to many chronic digestive forums and blogs and certain groups on Facebook, and you're still not feeling better. Is this you? I honestly have seen some posts and blogs and in groups that I don't think were even mildly saying it appropriate, and people take the advice, people take the recommendation of complete strangers in the groups that they put in their trust. So I think it's something that is great in a way, because you do want support. You do need someone or a lot of people to understand that you're not alone. But you have to be careful also listening to some people's advice. And you probably tried many things, right? You probably tried nutritional supplements or food changes or medications. Probably you're taking a lot of medications if you have a serious chronic digestive problem, and you try to do things on your own, but sometimes it's just simply too hard. You think that maybe you should try harder, and do you need to try harder? The harsh reality is that often trying harder rarely leads to healing. And this time of the year, I say that New Year's resolutions is when I hear a lot of clients or or people that want to become clients tell me, okay, January 1st, I am starting and I'm going to be good and I'm going to take that next step and I'm going to eat better. You know, that doesn't work. What works is clients that do have proven plan that worked for people with similar things, that's been proven over and over to work, and chances are it will work for you. So my name is Dr. Ina Lukianowski. I'm doctor of pharmacy. I'm a gut healing expert, a functional medicine practitioner, almost 10 years diving into functional diagnostic testing since 2009, pretty much seeing lots and lots of cases over and over, and pharmacist for 20 plus years, 22 plus years. I'm an author of best-selling Crohn's and Colitis Fix book, and I'm a creator of 10-week plan for gut healing. So I was in a bad shape myself, really bad in my 30s. So I understand your pain, and I'm here to show you how to get your digestive function back, at least teach you what has been done that worked. Could it be that simple? Is it hard to change your eating habits, your lifestyle habits, your bathroom habits, your dietary habits, nighttime routines? Sure, yeah. Sometimes when you have kids, responsibilities, work, sometimes it's really, really hard. And I want you to know that you can feel better. A lot of my clients felt better. I improved, and it took a little over a few years, but I'm at full remission. I'm absolutely fine. And that alone is something to celebrate, which I do, and share that with others is just the cherry on top of the cake. And why would it be worth for you to overcome your fears and your doubts? Because you in the result, you get to feel great. And that's something a lot of people that have been suffering with chronic digestive problems for years are looking for. So my story really quickly, I had a stressful job as a pharmacist, and I was first diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, had a stressful birth of my second child, hospital visits and nonstop. Then they finally diagnosed me with Crohn's and medications, which was really tough to take because I'm a pharmacist. Understanding the pharmacology, the mechanism of action of medicine, understanding every aspect of drug interaction or maybe drug side effect. And I was on pretty heavy medications that I knew they had that potential terrible adverse effect profile. So I was taking them at that time, and they made me feel a little better, but that fatigue that they caused for me, I realized that it was not the way to live, and it would not be something that I can handle living for the rest of my life. It might be fine for others. For some people, medications work, and that's all they're looking for, and that's amazing. In my case, that was not the case. That was not the story. I felt so tired. I was sitting in the park with my kids, and I just could not get up. And that was the point. I remember the park. I remember how small my second one was. I needed something else. I went to Brazil to see John of God. I tried so many different complementary options for gut health. I seeked acupuncture help. I tried breathing Buteyko's method, and I tried really a lot of different options until I found functional medicine. And although I was feeling already a little better from everything I've done, so at that point, I still didn't feel as good as I wanted to, and functional medicine was that difference. And it can make, and for the past decade almost, I see how much difference it can make for others. So it's really a blessing to be able to help others. So my knowledge with my story, I want to end that I do understand pharmaceuticals, medications, and nutraceuticals. My experience with Crohn's and colitis patients I offer coaching, something that most practitioners in traditional medicine don't offer, functional nutrition and detox, all in my program, because that's why I know that all aspects, most aspects that needed to be addressed for patients with these conditions, they're being addressed. Is this your time to heal? When is the right time to heal, really? What's the key? I believe individualized approach is very important for each individual case, for personal cases. And the energy you put into the program is also like the food you put in. Good food, you get out good energy. Same story here. The more you put in of your effort, of your trust, of your belief you could heal, of the things you're supposed to do, the more you're gonna get out. So just past few years, I've seen lots of clients. You see on YouTube, I have Crohn's patients. I recently launched my new website, digestivereset.com. So a lot's been going on in the past decade since I got well from Crohn's. And just like a general client, we're gonna call her Jane, meet Jane. She has the chronic digestive problems. In her case, this was colitis. And she realized that her symptoms were causing her to become a person she did not recognize. She was just happy-go-lucky. She was thrilled with her life at one point, and year after year, she felt like this is it. Like she can't live like this anymore, constantly going to the bathroom, embarrassed. She was losing her sanity. She couldn't continue. Even sexually, she was so embarrassed, and because she constantly had to go. Her life was affected, sex life was affected, kids were affected. They didn't have their mom available emotionally, so and physically, of course. And she became depressed, almost clinically depressed. Fast forward to a lot of work with her, and she's at remission. She's got job promotion. She's now has a lot of time to spend at home. She cooks. She happens to love cooking, and she cooks a lot of anti-inflammatory cooking she learned with me, and she does it for the entire family. The entire family's health transformed along with hers. So that's the side benefit. What would you learn today? You're going to learn about options to heal. You're going to learn how to decrease the inflammation with help of functional medicine. You are going to learn how other diagnostics, like functional diagnostics, can be useful, how functional nutrition works for chronic digestive problems. You're going to learn about research on nutraceuticals for digestive health, and you are going to learn how to select foods and supplements that work for chronic digestive problems. What methods are there to heal? People, some are very, very educated and aware, but some are still not aware that there is much more than the traditional route. I originally learned the traditional route and became a pharmacist in '96. I recently got my doctorate last December, a year ago. And it was a traditional pharmacy school again. The reason I did that, because in between of the time since I originally graduated and became a pharmacist and got my doctorate last year, in between all this, I've learned a lot of holistic integrative therapies, and I've learned functional medicine, became certified. The reason I did my doctorate last year is because I wanted to bring more understanding into my program of truly integrative route, because some choose holistic, which is great, it's their option, and holistic does not include anything, no medication or not even nutraceuticals, I don't believe, and that's beautiful, that's really great, the real holistic route, but it doesn't work for advanced patients. Most of the time Crohn's colitis patients really, really advanced, and they need, in the beginning at least, they need both. They need to integrate traditional route to a practitioner that understands that they're working with someone on an alternative and complementary style medicine, and integrate all that into a beautiful program for that client. There's other methods that should be tried. I am definitely for acupressure, acupuncture. There's aromatherapy, Ayurvedic medicine work for some people. There's biotherapy, biofeedback, chiropractic, homeopathy, naturopathy, reflexology, Reiki, bioenergy methods. It's all really great. If you could pick and choose from here. I'm going to teach you what worked for me and works for my clients. But again, there's a lot for you out there. In my practice, I teach functional medicine. I'm certified. Originally started my learning from Dr. Kalish, one of the pioneers in functional medicine. I also have a lymphatic detoxification available in my office, and I have a pure bioenergy method therapist in my office, but mostly my clients come to us for functional medicine expertise from me. How to decrease the inflammation with help of functional medicine. So I just mentioned Dr. Kalish, the person that I learned originally the whole concept and the entire ground for functional medicine, and he was trained by an amazing practitioners, and I really think his expertise is unbelievable. And I had an option to where I wanted to get my certification, and I chose that doctor. And his method actually has been studied by with Mayo Clinic, and he has a paper on his particular method. And that paper, if you ever want to read on, he's been working for a couple of years, and it was published, I believe, 2 years ago already on this particular method. So in the basis of that method, we look into adrenal health, we look at, which is like neuroendocrine system, we look at gut health, and we look at the detoxification, 3 pillars. With adrenal support, the very important key is to address inflammation. With also balancing adrenals, it's very important to balance sleep and balance blood sugar. We really want to keep blood sugar stable because it will affect the cortisol. Cortisol will affect the sugar. One will affect the other. So we really want to keep those balanced. Getting rid of the fatigue with adrenal support, really easy, really possible. As a side effect of balancing all this, you could see the improvement in balancing sex hormones without even having to go for natural hormone supplementation. Sometimes it's still necessary for some people. It took this long to get sick, so it takes sometimes that long to get well. But and for meantime, sometimes it's necessary to go with natural hormone balancing. But sometimes we don't even get to do that because they are much better already. With functional testing, it's important to select a great adrenal support afterwards. And the functional testings include saliva. We rely on that for cortisol levels, for DHEA levels, dry urine testing. We really like that testing for its accuracy in hormones, in sex hormones. Traditional medicine blood work, of course, that could also show a lot of things that even those types of tests won't show. So combining all together is great if going to the traditional doctor, collecting that work and looking at the entire picture. Other diagnostics and functional medicine can be useful. PCR technology testing, which is a little more accurate way, a lot more accurate than traditional stool testing. Labs, we will look for parasites, bacteria, autoimmune triggers, gluten markers, inflammatory markers, SIG-IgA markers, candida overgrowth, enzymatic activity, fat malabsorption. We would look into other useful markers that get to the root cause of the problem. And that's really truly what functional medicine is all about. In functional medicine, we want to find the root cause. What originated the problem? Because quite often, the same root cause that caused the secondary problems after Crohn's or after colitis, that are rheumatoid arthritis or psoriasis, skin problems, or other issues. The original root cause was that root cause that caused GI symptoms. And we also look at other testing such as OAT, organic acid. That's really helpful in some cases. It's a must, and it's great to do both, because sometimes one could be, it's not going to give you a full picture, so looking at both is great. Neurotransmitter testing is important, especially for those that already have kind of mood symptoms and depression and other things. Metal testing with urine, hair, yeah, that could uncover when you have a patient that you tried a couple of things and nothing else is working, and you do metal testing and you see that they're heavily toxic with, for example, mercury. And until that is detoxified, you can't proceed to do any other things. So who else is going to look for that? It's really, really great that we have that option. SIBO testing is tricky, but sometimes necessary. Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Food sensitivity testing is great. You could uncover hidden inflammation from that. Yet food sensitivity becomes tricky in my practice because of the leaky gut situation. When you have someone with a leaky gut, you could get a lot of false positives. People could eat something on a daily basis, something that they recently eat, and that will show up on that food sensitivity testing, thinking, oh, I just ate this, it's interesting, I'm allergic to that food, but it's about the leakiness of the gut. So I usually reserve this test to closer to the end of the program, not the beginning, when the leakiness of the gut, when we heal and seal the thickness of the lining and the intestinal wall is nice and now has no leakiness to it. Functional nutrition, super important. That's a staple. No doubt there you understand how important it is. Although, you still find some practitioners in gastroenterology that say food is not important, but there's less and less of them now. So you would look into whole food nutrition, vegetables with protein, or rice with veggies. It's really people that still have the rice, that still have some grain in their diet. It's important not to combine with meat to decrease the inflammation, because it's really hard for the body to be dealing with so many proteins at the same time. Rice itself is it has gliadin proteins. Green juices, also for those that are more adrenally and blood sugar balanced. Green juices is an option. For others, it would be green drinks, green smoothies, better choice with more protein or oil in there. So lots and lots of water, of course, inevitable, right? You need to drink in order to flush, and in order to and if you don't flush enough, it all stays in your system. Make sure that your water contains good minerals, not chemicals, so good filters is important. Fruits and berries are a great part of good functional nutrition. You want to concentrate on berries more, less sugar content. Combining plant-based foods with meats is okay. With meat-based, what I'm saying here is that if you are doing well with meats, if you are doing really well with meat with vegetables, and it's a good idea to combine protein, obviously, with vegetables and good oil to have steady blood sugar. You do want to give yourself some plant-based days to ease up and improve the alkalinity in the body. Elimination diet, is it for everyone? It depends on each client that comes in to my practice. Have they tried this? Have they tried that? We take a look at that. If they're at the beginning stages, we probably would go for elimination diet and start adding back one food at a time. Generally, if major allergens, you want to, or if you still haven't if you haven't tried anything as far as the diet related, you do want to go for gluten, soy, corn, dairy, and egg, avoiding those and putting one back into the diet. Stress reduction methods. This is one of the prescriptions for you. You should be able to incorporate one of these methods. for sure, because when your system is in chronic stress physically already from the illness, you emotionally affected, and it becomes a cascade of other issues. And if you learn to do a good stress reduction practice, things start to improve. Whether you choose hypnotherapy or EFT or meditation or deep breathing, psychotherapy, I've seen clients do really well with that. Groups, support systems, learning to say no is a very, very important. If you put too much on your plate, and if there's, if you put yourself last, how could you expect to heal? Can you expect yourself to heal if you're not even important to yourself? And last one on this list is sleep, but definitely not the least. Sleep is huge. Sleep is so important for chronic digestive patients. 10 to 4 is the time, 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. is the time for the liver to detox. And if you don't detox, if you go to sleep normally at 1 o'clock in the morning, that's already half of that detox skipped. So today you skipped, and the next day you skipped, and all all those toxins that didn't leave the body are accumulating. All these things that are you having, your body is now flooded with a bunch of toxins that liver eventually just cannot even filter out. So let's remember that sleep is like taking a liver support. So start sleeping and start going to bed early. Digestive system and immune system need support. Anti-inflammatory diet that I just discussed a few slides before. Fermented foods, I think, it's a really, really great way to improve microbiome, although it's tricky for those that have SIBO and some other gut microbiome issues, because some will be very sensitive, and the histaminic foods and all these things that can make you worse for meantime. So sometimes, depends on each client, sometimes it's recommended to start in small amounts and increase those. Sometimes it's not recommended at all until you balance your microbiome. So this one is really, you ideally want to work with a good practitioner to balance this out. Eliminating at least daily. I do recommend this tremendously, and if you're on a constipated side, until you work with someone that helps you out and puts your chronic, deflames you, your inflammation will be deflamed, you have to make sure that you're eliminating at least daily, and whether it's with help of magnesium citrate or other natural methods, it's really important to do. Intermittent fasting, is it for you or not? Because it's a big thing now to talk about fasting. I say it's fine only if you have no insulin resistance or blood sugar instability. But if you do, you want to probably hold off on that. Cleanses, oils, supplements, whatever worked for you before, for having to go daily is very important. If you're on a diarrhea kind of side, that's a whole different story. There's a lot of things that can be done there too. Castor oil packs for those that are not eliminating daily, really important too, really great. They work well. Decreasing animal protein, that's something I mentioned before, including more plant-based diet. And moving. Moving is, sometimes you're so tired and you don't want to even move, you're that exhausted, but moving is super important. I have a lymphatic detoxification technology in my office, but for those that cannot get to us, you could do the castor oil packs. That's great lymphatic cleanse. Or you could try to at least walk around where you walk at home. You're gonna need to have to do some movements, otherwise there's stagnation and more issues with your health. On foods to avoid, general list of allergens that we discussed before: gluten, dairy, non-organic soy, GMO corn, mercury-filled fish, so not the wild-caught fish, gluten, conventional poultry is full of antibiotics, sugar could feed that flora. If you're yeast prone now or currently have candida, sugar will feed more candida, and you will have an issue worsening of your gut microbiome situation, and will have a worsening of the candida, and that will require actually whether herbal or traditional method of taking care of candida infection. Packaged foods are often laced with some kind of parabens or with other preservatives that are really, really inflammatory. So what you do want to add is cruciferous vegetables. They're very detoxifying. You want to rotate your foods in order to avoid some kind of a food intolerance. You want to keep on rotating your foods. With cruciferous vegetables, if you are prone to have gas, you want to start with small amounts and go to increase as you tolerate better. This way, it's so much easier to start tolerating these types of cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and other wonderful, wonderful, important detoxifying foods. Berries are great. Colorful plates are important to mix up the nutrition, to add more nutrition in. Clean lean meats, clean plant-based proteins, greens, wild-caught seafood full of iodine, full of a great healthy omega, healthful nuts and seeds, again omega-3 and an anti-inflammatory. Bone broth and collagen are super great for leaky gut. Very important as far as the gut microbiome to repopulate. And if you downloaded my book, you saw I dedicated the chapter on 4 to 5R system, but removing like the infections, replacing with the good bacteria, repairing like the leaky gut, the walls, and in some cases we change up. We repair first and then remove, replace. Depends. Again, ideally you want to look at each individual person and repopulate in the end. Again, good bacteria with good probiotics particularly needed for you. So choosing the right probiotic. Generally for Crohn's, a lot of probiotics been studied. That was a topic of my paper for doctorate degree. It was called Clinical Effectiveness of Probiotics in Crohn's and Colitis. So that was my doctorate paper, and I broke down to, at that point when I wrote my paper, at that point what studies were there and what looked good. And there's more since I wrote my paper. There's more interesting studies. So generally spore probiotics, in certain cases soil-based probiotics are really good. You want, as Boulardi in most cases, especially if there's yeast present, a very, very good idea. Prebiotics are important. They ideally should be coming from the sources of food, but if you take in supplements, that's fine too. They feed the good bacteria, and they feed the probiotics. They help probiotics to be actually taken into the system better. Case study number 1. We have a 34-year-old female, complaints of chronic diarrhea with Crohn's, alternating with constipation, indigestion, fatigue, cramps, brain fog, female hormone imbalance, and more. Symptoms were chronic. She was feeling every day that as she was getting worse, that it was her new normal, and until she completely broke down. And she came in asking to do food intolerance testing because she thought she started having food sensitivities. We recommended that she really should go through the entire checkup with the adrenals, with gut testing and organic acid testing, because it could be just so much more than just the food intolerances. And at 75% improvement, she was by week 10. And what helped was totally not food sensitivity test, which we actually did for her because she really wanted that. And she was close to 100% improvement by 6 months mark. So just to take a quick peek at that test for food sensitivities, sweet potato that she was eating almost every day, she was now super reactive to. Or there's also lecithin that's in so many packaged foods. Most gluten-free products are full of lecithin from soy. And she was also like allergic to color blue, which a lot of people now today are. And sweet potato is on my list of anti-inflammatory foods. So again, testing is ideal. In her case, probably, she didn't get better because of removal of just sweet potato. I'll show you later what we did. But all types of functional diagnostics are often helpful to resolve the situation. And her adrenals were also, the morning cortisol looked like it was within normal range, but in her case, it was probably false positive because she had that severe gut infection that I'll show you now. But the other results for the noon, afternoon, and nighttime are shown the entire picture of how messed up her rhythm is. It's supposed to be higher, then lower, and then lower and lower. She was going up in the afternoon from noon, which should be the opposite. And that also affects the blood sugar. That means her blood sugar spikes up more in the afternoon. So her entire adrenals were not functioning the way, like it indicated that there's something going on gut related. And here we go. We have now 4 slides of her results of the PCR gut testing from, this particular one is from, which one is this? That's the Diagnostic Solutions one. So infection after infection, if you see Cryptosporidium infection here, which is a nasty bug that could cause tons of silent chronic inflammation or tons of symptoms. It could go either way. Sometimes Cryptosporidium could live in the system for many years. First, it feels like a stomach flu, and you just feel, not well for the next 10, 20 years until it's finally taken care of. So she had a major overgrowth of natural bacteria. She had opportunistic bacteria being overgrown. She had 2 parasites on top of everything that's going on. That gut was messed up. And the last page of her results, her detoxification marker was high, and she also had calprotectin, which is a gut inflammatory marker, which was at 42. It's still considered within normal limits, but I want to show you what her after test was after we cooled down. Then we took care of the bugs with herbals, and we made recommendations with digestive support and adrenal support. And look at these results here, all clean and clear, no parasites. And look at the scalp protectant went from 42 to 1. That's how much her inflammation went down. So it was a different person afterwards. So how amazing is this? Case number 2, someone with ulcerative colitis at 56 years old, female, chronic digestive symptoms for 15 plus years, fatigue, weight gain, indigestion, constipation, sleep problems, anxiety, depressed moods. We did the Dutch test recommendation, stool PCR, and organic acid test. And after addressing all the issues in the testing, it was all cleared up. Well, we went through initial nutritional changes for her, lifestyle changes, digestive support made a huge difference in her life. She was already at 50% improvement in the first 5 to 6 weeks, just from initial nutritional changes, lifestyle changes, digestive support that we recommended before we even finished getting all the test results back. She was already feeling so much better. Lots of toxicity markers on her results. We addressed her mitochondria, we supported it. And she came in really with issues with her gut, but ended up having her energy basically returned like she was in her 20s, and she lost a lot of weight. And that was like a side added benefit. So this looked like this metabolized cortisol here clearly indicates some kind of chronic inflammation in her case. So we digged, and this is where experience comes along handy. So her stool results looked like she was fine, almost fine. There was not many issues there, and that could have been because in her case it was a SIBO, small intestinal bacterial problems, or because her bacteria now covered with the biofilm and were not able to be picked up on the test. So that's where organic acid testing came along handy. Now look at her yeast and fungal markers and intestinal microbiome overgrowth. All these markers are high, indicating severe yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth, something that did not show up on the stool results. So this kind of test is amazing to prove that we could still dig and find, and with a good practitioner, you're able to find the root cause. So she did have mitochondria markers affected, and that's where she got her weight loss later, because we supported her Krebs cycle. And loss and some nutrients that were low, not surprised, because she had the chronic digestive problems, and that causes nutritional depletions and vitamin depletions. So I want to tell you that as far as when you choose supplements, it's also very important to do a good research on your brands, a high quality of source. It's really, really important to do. Additives, extra ingredients to bulk up, all that you want to avoid, because sometimes it's more expensive supplement, but truly it's about the quality you're putting into your system. Even active ingredients might not be exactly the same. And just quickly I picked a few examples for supplements and why you want to avoid the cheaper synthetic brands, and why you want to be choosy. For example, enriched foods or enriched vitamins, enriched with iron, organophosphates, that could deplete the liver's ability to detoxify. Also, iron-enriched foods can decrease the natural production of tyrosine, so and iodine concentration in the system. So the synthetic or enriched with something doesn't mean it's great. The synthetic forms of vitamin D is not the same as vitamin D that you're gonna get from a natural professional good nutraceutical company from natural sources. Coenzyme Q10, when it's synthetic, it's oxidized, and that's not going to bring you the result, or it could even be harmful. Glandulars, if you're taking adrenal support or thyroid support, where are they coming from? It could be coming from an animal that's been exposed to hormones or antibiotics, and that will come along with the glandulars you're taking. Synthetic nutraceutical supplements nutritional supplements can be full of xenoestrogens, and that men definitely don't want to have those to affect the testosterone. Women don't want to have those either, because excess of estrogen is spelling out also toxicity and other issues that we're not even covering here. Ascorbic acid is not vitamin C. Lots of people think it's vitamin C. Ascorbic acid, synthetic ascorbic acid, when it's consumed with iron enriched foods, they can cause oxidation of the ascorbic acid, making it become dihydroascorbic acid, which is a free radical, and it could be harmful to the brain. So just when you're choosing supplements for Crohn's or colitis or other chronic digestive problems, make sure you are choosing researched brand. Enriched is probably a bad idea. Looking for professional brands is where you want to go. Things like rescue supplements that I recommend if you're traveling, for example, pack your bags with the digestive enzymes to make sure that it will help your digest food that you're not normally eating, or simply digest proteins, or if there's hidden ingredients like gluten or dairy that you think that is not there, definitely go for that. Apple cider vinegar is great. Milk thistle for liver support, liver GI support. The combinations are great. There's a supplement called Zygluten, which is okay for accidental gluten digestion. If you are away and traveling and don't go regularly to the bathroom, more toxicity, so you want to do something like magnesium citrate. Very important to go regularly. Adrenal support is also very good when you travel, and when you have long flight, for example, herbal sleep support for a day or two, so you could just get back with your rhythm. Something like 5-HTP or Phenibut is a good idea. Well-researched supplements, I mentioned them in my book and in my doctorate paper that been actually researched for Crohn's and colitis are probiotics, enzymes, turmeric, L-glutamine, boswellia, ginger, quercetin, cerezymes, and immunoglobulins. They all are for different things. Probiotics for flora, enzymes is to help digest foods better. Turmeric, anti-inflammatory. L-glutamine is great for leaky gut. Boswellia is also anti-inflammatory. Ginger is used for many things, including upset stomach. Quercetin also histaminic foods, and it's used for many purposes and for gut problems. Cerezymes could be as an anti-inflammatory enzymatic supplement, and immunoglobulins for immune system support. If you still didn't get my book, there's more described there. And I want to leave you with just an attachment, an emotion that I'm not the only one that got better. There are many out there that improved and empowered themselves and got well, and it's totally possible if you finally get into that mindset or place the mindset into you. It's possible to get better. There's like no false promises here. I'm just saying that if you put in the work and if you really truly want to make a difference, not even for yourself, for your family, there's a lot of things you could learn, you could do to get much better digestion and digestive function. And this is just my information. If you have any questions, you could email me here. This is my information of my office and the phone number. I'm always looking forward to hear. And I'm wishing every digestive person that a chronic digestive sufferer to breathe and to find their way. My wishes for you is not to have those symptoms anymore. One after another, let them be gone. And I thank you today for listening to me, and I hope you have a great holiday season or past holiday if you get this video later. Take care. That was Dr. Ina with you.